Yep.
For unsafe building.
Anybody have any problem with that?
No. What's up? What happened? I swear.
Cumulative capital, doesn't that fall under yours also?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that money could be used for a lot of different things. Cum cap, cigarette tax.
What do we use it for now?
Street, I believe all of it goes for street department, either added paving, but it's actually Board of Works, and I tell you that as if I know. I believe that's what it is. Cigarette tax, gasoline tax, those kind of things.
And I see we've got local road and street.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we reduce the amount for paving?
That shouldn't happen.
We reduced it from $115,474 this year to $70,000.
Because that's what's anticipated. Reedy can project based on amount of gasoline tax collected by the state, by the number of, by our population.
So it's based on the gasoline tax that's collected?
Yeah, that was a Reedy projection. They said best
We're
case
just spending what we receive. On
best
the-
case scenario is $70,000.
Okay.
But we could add to it if we wanted.
You can add to it.
Here's what I found, Teresa, was under Board of Works was demolition. What's the difference between demolition and unsafe building fund?
Unsafe has a
Expenses.
broader latitude what it can be used for.
So we basically got 160 total in for both. That's what I was looking for anyway. I knew I saw it somewhere else.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Questions answered except for the
Yep.
contracted service? Okay. Jan, Paul, if you'd like to come up for Parks Department?
Thanks, Larry.
We got that pizza before we made that cut.
You want to start with golf, so he can get after?
I'm sorry?
You want to start with golf, so he can leave them?
That'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be
Yeah,
easy.
I always
whatever.
choose
Page is
golf
that?
above all other things.
You've got the whole 9 yards, so I don't care. You've got the rest of the meeting, I'll put it that way.
What page is that, Teresa?
And no intention of-
15 starts.
Golf,
Yes.
non-reverting golf is on page 24.
Yes.
24.
More carts free to use to council? Yes.
How many employees do you have at the golf?
Full-time, I have 2 full-time employees besides myself, 3 total. The clubhouse, I got 5 or 6 around in there, and about 5 out on the course, which I'm losing a couple this week.
So 5 part-timers. Well, no, you have
What?
5, 6 in clubhouse too.
But yeah, 5 part-time, 5 or 6 part-time in the clubhouse, and then out on the course, besides for the 2 full-time guys that I have out there, I got middle summer, like 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's in the summer.
They don't work 40 hours a week usually. They're usually people.
Summer help.
How's your year been?
Well, it started off pretty poor with the March of weather that we had. I think last March was the worst March we've had up there, and this March was the second worst March. So back-to-back cold Marches. But we are actually, I looked the other day, we're just a little bit ahead of where we were last year. Rounds are down a little bit, but money's up. Our expenditures are down a little bit from last year. So, it'll be comparable to year last year, maybe a little better. a lot of times in the middle months, when you look at May, June, July, August, September, they're usually all about the same. You know, maybe a little bit more on expenditures in some months if we have more watering the course more or using more chemicals and stuff. But, you know, revenue-wise, they'd stay pretty consistent if weather's nothing extreme. Where we always get our, we call kind of bonus months, it's, you know, the stuff that runs from, you know, October, November, December, and, you know, then through April. And, you know, last year wasn't real good, and this year wasn't real good on that. So I'm hoping we have a good fall, you know, get some nice weather in there.
So am I.
Yeah. I mean,
How's the beer and wine?
It's doing good. It's a little better this year than it was last year at this point.
So you think that's been a good thing to have?
Oh, absolutely. It's like I said, I mean, we make $10,000 easy on that a year, plus we add a couple outings. So, I mean, that just rolls into.
That's where the big difference has been, is
Yeah.
that he's had more outings
Yeah.
than he had
Yeah.
before when we weren't allowed to.
And some people
serve
just come
alcohol.
here, come there, just, I mean, even, you know,
There's more out-of-towners that'll come by. True.
just because we have beer. You know, even if it's just a couple people, you know, to have a couple beers when they play. So it's just, that there's not been.
And we haven't had any problems with it, like,
No.
when we passed that, I remember when we passed it, people were up in arms, you know, oh my God, somebody's gonna go down the hill and kill somebody, and I haven't heard of anything happening.
Well,
It's
it's like
kinda
that.
just,
No more than they did before.
Yeah, like when excise came up there that time, they came in, he goes, you know, he looked around and he was like, you don't really do a whole lot of beer business. I said, well, no, this was like in March or April. I said, no, I said, it picks up in the summer, but, you know, he goes, you know, which we do, we have a limited selection. We don't have stuff on tap or, you know, anything like that. So, I mean, it's, you know, pretty quiet really.
He's got a good control on it too. Just the fact that, you know, you can't bring your own cooler on the course
right.
makes it under his control a lot better, and so I think that makes a difference.
it's been years since you did that, I haven't heard any negative,
08,
nothing,
was it?
you know, nothing negative.
09?
Oh, 08,
08, yeah, 08, so yeah.
or it was passed in 08.
Oh,
it
yeah,
seems
that
like.
was our first one, I mean,
Yeah.
as we started getting past it.
I've got a basic overall question about the golf course budget. I'm just curious, we have a, let's see, I get to the bottom of this thing. It's like the golf course has a $515,000 proposed budget for 2015. What's interesting to me is, different than our other budgets, the golf course generates its own funds. And so we have a budget, which I understand they'd have to have a budget, but except for the benefits, we're not really putting anything into that. So the way I look at it, as long as he is able to run that golf course and within that budget, it's hard for me to, you know, say much about anything on this one.
It stands alone, doesn't it?
Yeah. With the exception of the employees, the full-time benefits,
Yeah.
and he just has 3 of those. So-
Yeah, I mean, and we will not, and we never have, spend all of our budget, our proposed budget. We watch it as we go through the year, because we want to come close to breaking even or making money.
I think that program, I think Ted was part of that council that did that.
0444.
There you go. I think that's worked out great. So
Yeah, and I mean, it's just,
I'd like to see us do more of that.
it's just like with our, like equipment. They brought a mower up for us to see last week. They were taking out to the state hospital. List price on it was $55,000. And, you know, I told them not to even get it off the trailer for us, because that's not in our.
Was it a 100-incher or what?
No, yeah, it was. It was 120 inches.
Was it?
Yeah, it was nice. It was, but I mean, that's, you know, we're probably, when we go buy a rough mower next year, which is what we'll buy with this budget, we'll be looking at probably, you know, probably something used, you know, a year old or something like that, just because, I mean, you know, we gotta live within what we make and what our budget is, and, you know, a $50,000 rough mower, unfortunately, isn't in our equation. You know, I should have had him get it off just so we could play with it for a day, but I figured we'd
At least
fall in love
mow
with
the,
it.
at least mow the rough one time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but it just, you know, it's worked out well. Everything's worked out well for us.
I have one question for you all. One of the things that needs to be looked at in the next year or two is renovation of the clubhouse itself. And, I mean, it was built in 1968, and it hasn't had any, it's had new carpet and it's been painted, but there's a lot of things that need to be addressed in the future. And we had hoped that, and I think air conditioning and heating is one of those things, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
windows.
Windows.
Is a problem.
There's a lot of heat loss at the windows every year. Anyway, would you be in favor of taking out a loan to do those renovations so that we can get them done and maybe pay for them over a 10-year period of time, or even 5 years? I don't, you know, is that something that we could be thinking about? Or and I'm hitting you cold, so certainly you can think about it. But I just was curious about your initial reaction on that.
Are you talking about allowing the golf course to take a loan out and they pay it back?
Yeah, it would still
Yeah,
come out of
it-
this fund. It would still come out of this fund. So just like the golf carts that we bought several years ago, that we ended up paying $21,000 on those every year for the last 5 years, and that's been a real big help to our ability to provide the golf carts as a service to the
I
customers.
just had somebody question me this week about that, something about, you know, that the clubhouse, you know, asked me when it's going to get remodeled or something. So, you know, my view on that would be is if it's in Dean's budget, if he can afford it, you know, great.
Start looking at.
And I know it's been done a little bit over time.
We've done,
so-
like Jan said, the carpet here, stuff like that. Nothing major, you know.
So maybe do windows one
But
year.
definitely the windows is something that,
Really needs to be done.
lucky,
Big.
last year's first year we did it, we went and spent $100 on plastic and taped up all the windows in the clubhouse, and then we had one heck of a winter, and LED prices went up too, so, I mean, we were able to keep that, and then
Aren't your golf carts about paid for or something?
Next month.
Then are you going to do another deal on those, or could you use some of that money for your windows? Or
we're not gonna do a deal right away on those. We, our 30 golf carts that we originally bought will be paid off next month.
still in pretty good shape, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. We put 6
Like
sets of new
batteries,
batteries
yeah.
in them.
Mm-hmm.
We've added 5 more carts to the fleet earlier this year. So, you know, that it's really worked out well. We've made it through this year with only 6 new sets of batteries in it. We've actually had a cart last week after I made the comment, you know, that the batteries have been working well. We've had one not make it 36 holes. So, you know, that's,
Probably,
you know,
probably Chuck
you know,
out
so
there.
we'll be looking at probably buying some more batteries maybe at the end of the year, like we did last year. But besides that, they're still in good shape. They, you know, our goal is 40 golf carts. You know, was our original goal. We're at 35 now, so we could add 5 more next year.
Does council have to authorize that borrowing for the?
Actually,
Yeah.
there's $5,000 in this budget that
Mhm.
says clubhouse renovation.
I saw that.
Well, that, and I, you know, that was the intention though, was to take out a loan of some sort to start, you know, once we got a plan together to do it. So, and we don't have an official plan at this point, but it, you know, the loan idea is controversial, and I don't, you know, expect everybody to go for it, but I, you know, if we can make it work through this budget, I'd like to try.
You can pay for it out of that budget. You know, I mean, obviously nothing excessive.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think you need $1 million, but, you know.
I think a
Really,
second story
yeah.
isn't. We're not gonna do that.
You're not gonna do that?
No.
You're
Okay.
not?
Well, I think the provisions in the ordinance require you to have a balanced budget, so to speak, that you fund yourself. So, you know, the risk you run, and that is, I think,
Laying off
going to
somebody.
be, it's going to be with the Parks Board, is if you don't have enough money to make your payment, you're going to be forced to either lay somebody off or raise the rates at the golf course. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. That's the risk you run, and that was the way the ordinance was designed, for you to manage that risk and manage and be responsible if it doesn't work out the way you plan.
Right. So I think it's really up to Dean. He can kind of figure that.
Well, you know, as everybody that's been up there,
04.
it's
I was on
house of windows, basically, so it will be,
That made a huge
Even
difference when
Worley
we got
voted
rid of
for it.
those windows at the
Scream
camp.
no. and
yeah,
I said,
it'll be,
You did?
I mean, I have no clue how much windows is gonna cost up there. I'm guessing 30 grand, you know, just on windows itself. But,
Yeah, you got a lot of them.
Oftentimes when you make
You got a lot of them.
yeah, it could be more, I don't know. I mean, I had a couple put in my house this year, it wasn't cheap, so, I mean,
Oftentimes, when you make those upgrades like that, you get more energy efficiency, and so you save dollars on your
We will
utilities to
save,
help
I think, a
compensate for
lot.
that expense.
see, we have LP gas up there, and last winter when it went through the roof, I mean, the year before, we were getting our tank filled within every 3 weeks, you know, the year before, you know, when we didn't have the.
Just the plastic.
The plastic up there. This year, it was over a month getting it filled with plastic up, and yet we all know it's a lot harder winter, so, I mean,
Good thing you did.
yeah, exactly. I mean, so I mean,
Get
just
it
imagine, I
LP.
just imagine what windows would do, and then throw some plastic up on the windows, you know? Might be pretty nice in there.
Spent about 40,000 on utilities up there, it shows.
Yeah, last year that was, the water bill. We had a couple of $10,000 water bills in the middle of summer last year, you know? So that was, where we spent a lot of that last year. So,
Well,
I'm good.
no argument there.
all right.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, you might, bring in a couple people and just, get a ballpark on what's going on.
Yeah,
You know?
but we'll sit down and try to, I think try to figure out a plan of how much we wanna do and, maybe dream a little bit and, back it down or something too, Make a plan, a couple different plans.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Dean.
you.
Let's do a golf outing, fundraising for the clubhouse.
There you go. Everyone else has fundraisers.
No kidding.
Well, I think that, people might be really willing to chip in on that.
Yeah.
I will. See
See
ya.
ya.
See you, Dean, thank you.
What's next? Page,
Okay, Jan,
what page are we on?
15, Parks.
All right.
Anybody have any questions on the Parks budget?
I had it all figured out, but now I gotta go through it again. Parks, building, and structure, about 3/4 of the way down the first page, there at the page 15. What would that $10,000 be for?
Well, the old
Bless you.
carousel shelter at Riverside, electricity has some issues, and it's underground, so it's gonna have to be dug out, and we feel like that's a couple $1,000s. There's also, the gates or the actual doors to that building are needing to be
The
replaced.
carousel?
Yeah, the old carousel building, where it used to be, we use that as a pavilion.
What's that for, picnics and?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and, the other thing is there's some brickwork that needs to be done to that building too. If you've been inside Riverside Park, you'll also see that one little building right there by the basketball court. I don't know what kids have been, there's a lot of kids have been hanging there all summer long, and they've been banging out some of the bricks, and there's a lot of brickwork there that needs to be done, or it needs to be removed altogether. I'm not sure which is the best thing to do with that building.
What is that building used for now?
Well, it's storage primarily, and the police use it as well for all their, when they redo a car for their purposes, they take out the regular seats and put in those the vinyl seats, the really hard vinyl seats. So they leave so when they go back to trade them back in, those pieces are still available for them to do that with the car. So they've got some of their stuff in there, and then we have some of our stuff in there as well. It's one of those buildings that probably should be torn out, but we really need the storage, so anyway, but that's one of the other things that needs to be repaired. The shelter at Dykeman, we've already put in replacement windows in all but 6 of the spots in there. So that's what we need to do, is finish that building with replacement windows. Like I said, there's 6 of them that has to be done. All the small Spencer Park shelters need to be re-roofed. They're all looking pretty sad.
Yeah, it was one of the things that in the previous council, we constantly cut that because we were just so tight on our money, and eventually it comes back to get you where it has to be taken care of. And if you've taken a look and been in all the parks, and I've been at Spencer, been at Dykeman, been at Riverside, there's a lot of just general maintenance on those pavilions that we have that need done so that we don't lose them.
Things like, where's my other list here? We've been thinking about, whenever we have vandalism, that's how we pay for that. Bathroom stalls, doors, toilets, drinking fountains, annual bleacher repairs come out of there. Any picnic table repairs or replacements would come out of that. Light bulbs in the buildings, outside security lights, flags, any of that kind of stuff. And then if there's an actual repair to a playground, it would come out of that. If it's just a small piece, or like a swing or a chain, that would come out of there. So it's a broad-based fund, and a lot of stuff comes out of there.
How about the road around Riverside Park?
Mm-hmm.
The asphalt, there's some rough spots
Yes, there are.
that they need. Is there any way you could?
Well, there is some money in asphalt, gravel, and dirt. We did ask for a small increase there of $500 to work on some of that kind of thing.
Right.
That's where that would come
Have you
from.
been up there in the last few days?
Yeah, I run around Riverside
No,
Park
they
a
just
lot.
did some asphalt.
Yeah, I know they did the asphalt, but I'm talking about the road all the way around has some spots that need patched up, or I'd like to see the whole thing asphalted. I don't know where that would fall under, if that would fall under parks or.
I don't know.
I don't
The
either.
whole thing, I don't know
That
what that
could
would
probably
take.
be a
But
street department paving job.
Huh?
It's not the street. Well, the street is the street, I guess.
Street's
But-
street.
But the parking part's the parks.
Well, but Charlie's talking about the street.
Yeah. Well, I would actually like to saw us do that whole north side, to be truthful, of the parking that they just did, and the street, and the whole thing, and done it right. But got what we got, so we'll settle for that.
And then we did ask for an increase in non-vehicle equipment repairs and things like, drinking fountains, the weed eaters, chainsaws, mowers, all those things. That's where that kind of stuff would come from to get those repairs done. Electric eyes on the toilets, some of those are getting really old, and like we replaced the ones there at Riverside in Spencer here this last winter, but they're the ones that we don't have them actually at Fairview. Those don't actually go there, but anyway, that's where those things that I can't believe some of the vandalism that comes out of these kids though right now.
It is unbelievable.
They're throwing cherry bombs and stuff into the toilets. And it's ridiculous.
Hey, Jen, I have a question. On page 15, about 3/4 of the way down, you have a loan repayment for $6,680.
Yes.
And then on page 16, it also shows it's been transferred from the CIP for the same amount of money.
And it's always come out of this repair services line items.
Okay.
passed, so I'm not sure how that's supposed to be. I didn't do that.
Right, I mean,
I always put it in the CIP because it is a capital, I mean, the work that was done to the McHale complex was a capital repair.
mhm.
And so, you know, technically that 6680 is a capital repair, so,
Hmm.
So we
could-
need to just take that out of this, the blue area?
yeah, it's not in there. Yeah,
Taking that out, 6,680, right?
So would we take it out of the other services line item, or would we take it out of the, added from the CIP?
I'd take it off the CIP.
Yeah, CIP.
That's your last payment too, isn't it?
next year. I think we have one payment the next year.
Woo-hoo.
So, that'd be great.
You guys did that.
Yeah, that's been 10 years, so. But it's been worth it, you know, I know and I haven't looked at the reports lately, but we have gained money. I mean, we've saved money every year because we've had that work done, so. I mean, it's been like $6,000, like $4,000 to $5,000 every year of
Did
savings.
the carousel do that recently too, take out their doors that were light?
Yeah, they did take out doors, yeah. They still have the 2 doors facing the river that are still the garage doors, but everything else is solid, so,
They're neat, but they're not efficient.
not at all. Not at
Can we
all.
back up a little, I don't know where we're at here, but a question on the 4th of July fireworks, $9,000.
Uh-huh.
Did I hear that we, for some reason, we're getting our fireworks money
We-
refunded?
They did a bad job with this year's fireworks, and they know it. And they told us that they weren't going to charge us for this year's fireworks. So, and I'm not sure how you want to handle this, but, you know, we can go ahead and encumber that money and, you know, get an invoice for next year. I mean, that was part of their deal, was they want to get back and do it again next year and do it right.
You gonna hire the same people?
Well, this is the people that have done this for years
Oh.
for us.
They do a good job.
They do a good job,
most
and
of the
it was
time.
just a bad year for us, for them, and they had troubles with their electronics, and so I have no problem going back to them for another year. They do a good job, and they've got the right kind of insurance, and a lot of times people don't, and I just am really confident with these people, and so they would like me to sign a new agreement for next year, so we could encumber that money from this year and not spend it next year.
Take it out of the 15 budget.
However you want me to do it. I'm easygoing.
How much money are they planning on sort of?
9,000.
9,000,
Yeah.
same amount.
Same amount.
Didn't go up any.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No, that's part of what he's doing too, so.
Oh.
So hopefully it'll be more than 3 bottle rockets and 2 smoke bombs.
Yeah. Yeah. They were really disappointed. They were really, I got lots of apologies the next couple days
It'd be good to
from
give them a
different
couple.
people.
And they have done
You know,
very
improve
good
a
jobs in
little
the
bit.
past, so
You what?
we'll give them a 1-year pass.
So you removed the 9,000?
Yeah.
Did you remove the 9,000?
Yeah, I think that's what we decided to do, right, Teresa?
Okay.
Well, I kind of like your idea.
What was your idea? What did I say?
Maybe give you a little bit more so you could have a little bit
Yeah,
more.
I'd go along with that.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say, you know, it's important to be sure that that stays in there year after year. So if you take it out for next year, which I understand, I just think it's important to be sure you remember.
No.
that it's
Leave the
gonna go
line
into
item, but
2016.
reduce the amount.
You know, I think, I wasn't there this year, but
I was.
there are a lot of people that attend that event for 4th of July that do not have the resources to go someplace like Symphony on the Prairie, or Conner Prairie. Or, you know, and I think it's sort of a quality of life thing. It's a nice thing to do. And you know, if you want to reduce that number a little bit, that's for next year, that's great, but I certainly wouldn't wipe it out. You know, if she can do something a little better next year with it, that's fine with me.
How about if we cut it in half,
That works.
4,500? She didn't have to spend all of it.
Mm.
You
Just
don't
so
have to
long as we
spend all
remember
of
next
it.
year at this time that it's,
Pardon?
it's just so that we remember next time that it's 9,000, otherwise we
Yeah.
get,
Right.
we get a $4,500
That's
fireworks
what
show.
I'm thinking too.
I mean,
So
you
it'd
know,
be
it's not like
two
we're,
sparklers and a
right, it's not
softball.
like we're competing with Walton, but, you know, Walton continually says, you know,
While we're
that people
on
go
that-
out there, and it's fantastic. It is, it's a great show out at Walton.
Yeah, I go out there because my cousins live right by it, and I am amazed of how many people come back to Logansport from Walton that night. I mean, it's just a line solid. So, you know, what I've wondered for years, when it can be done, why don't we work it out with Logansport and like a Walton? So if they have theirs on a Friday, we have it a Saturday or something, so everybody can go out there. It's good for both towns. I'm wondering why, have we ever thought of that?
It's just like the city and the county working together, Bob. Have we ever thought of that? If we can just
Well,
get the fire departments
We
together?
probably have a better chance of working with Walton.
I don't know.
Hey, I got a street named after me there. I got Polk. So, you know, has that ever been thought about? I'm wondering.
Well, 12 Mile was on the 3rd, and ours was on the 4th.
12
be
miles
great.
was on the 3rd?
Yeah.
That's the problem, is everybody has to have that on the 4th. And-
I know.
And somebody told me at one time that there was an agreement that Logansport, because we're the county seat, gets the 4th, and everybody else has to do that.
Yeah, I thought at one point Walton was on the
another day.
5th.
Yeah,
But
they were.
Well, some years it'd be hard to do if it's a weeknight or something, but some years, though, it would work out good for everybody.
it'll
I
be
just think it'd
Saturday
be good for all
next year, I
communities
think.
to try to work together a little bit. So,
You know, I'm not opposed, honestly. Stuff happens. I'm not opposed to leaving it in there and really seeing if the company that has told you they're gonna work with you next year really does. You know, then.
They've been around for 20 years. I mean, but Black Magic, yeah.
Night Magic.
Night Magic.
okay.
So we're gonna cut it 4,500? Maybe she can add a little bit extra next year?
Yeah,
That's
it's good
fine.
by me.
That's fine.
So you don't have to spend it all.
So spend $39.99.
Yeah.
Well, I hear every year, is it over already?
That's especially true this year. I
Yeah.
was very disappointed. The grand finale was just like, just a,
Is that it?
and that was it.
I really
It
liked
was
Walton's
really
this year.
bad. Yeah.
You said
So-
12 miles.
12 Mile was on the 3rd.
Okay, the last page here, moving on. I've this copier you have on here, $8,500 for a copier. I'm wondering why Parks would need to spend that kind of money on a copier. I mean,
Well, that's the price, and I don't know what kind of trade-in we'd get.
you can't you come in and use this one? That's what I'm wondering.
That would be
Well, golly.
rather difficult when you've got things, her office
Well,
is down there.
okay.
And you've got brochures and everything else that you're printing off.
That's what I'm thinking. If you have a project like that, I think you could use this copier, but a day-to-day stuff, no, they have to have a copier. But I'm just thinking an $8,000 just for one
That's-
department.
Oftentimes copiers.
That's not that expensive.
I know
No,
they're
it's-
expensive.
Is that a
It's really
color,
not.
is it a color copier?
I'm not
Jan?
shocked.
No, this is black and white.
This would be a
No,
black and white.
yeah.
I'm just shocked.
That's all we
I'm not
have.
shocked at the price. I'm just don't know that a little parks department needs an $8,000.
Well, it depends on how much in-house printing are you doing for your program?
I mean, the only thing we're printing is things for meetings and, you know, it's not like we're printing a lot of stuff for
So you
program
farm out your
activities.
program
She has a
printing, like your
budget
summer
item for
guide and
that.
that kind of stuff, you aren't printing?
We didn't print a summer guide this year, so.
She's got
But it
printing
would
and
come
ads
out of
$300.
someplace else. That would be out of promotions and stuff, so.
She's got a line for printing ads and
Oh, I'm
stuff.
sorry, that's not what I thought you said.
Is your office copier or a fax machine also?
No, but it probably could be, but we don't have it set up that way.
'Cause I
How
know a
long-
lot of
Our fax
cop-
machine definitely needs to be replaced, so.
I know a lot of printer copiers or fax machines as well as.
There's $1,000
Copier.
copier service in here too.
Well, we have a color copier or color printer hooked up to both computers, and the copier that we have, part of the reason that we're looking to replace it is because of service. The company that was servicing it went out of it, or quit servicing Canon copiers, which is what it is, and so trying to get somebody to service it is difficult. So
How long have you had it, Jan?
We got that, and that's why I looked back, and we got it in 2006.
Would it be possible for you to get even a premium high-end desktop printer, fax copy, yada yada, as opposed to, I'm assuming this is a
Big
big
standalone.
standalone copier?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And I guess if you're not doing your own in-house printing for programs and stuff, and you're not printing 500 brochures at a time.
And let me point out too, this isn't in the CIP, it could be in a CIP, couldn't it? Put it in a CIP. For
I really thought it was in the
well, it's
CIP.
not marked blue on our deal.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but I think that's what I
honestly, if you were doing a lot of your own printing for programs, I could justify it a little more, but if all you're doing is printing for meetings and your own purposes and stuff like that, I mean, honestly, I would rather every 2 or 3 years have to buy a new premium.
Do you know what your monthly duty cycle is? How many, what do you print a
We
month?
do have, we've got it, but I didn't take a look at that, because we have to report that,
For
to
maintenance
get
purposes.
to get the, toner and stuff. You have to report how many copies you've printed.
Were you
And-
planning on the copier replacing your desktop printers? Or were you going to continue to have your desktop printers?
We only have one other desktop printer between the two computers. They're both hooked up to that. They're networked to the desktop. And that one prints in color. And then the other one is just black and white. And it does save in terms of the amount of toner that we have to add to the color one. So if we're only using the black and white one for
Yeah,
just
the one we
that.
have in the city here is only black and white.
And I have in my classroom's only black and white.
Wonder how much this printer is that we
Probably,
got here.
we could probably reduce it to 5,000 and
We
still,
should replace it, give them this one, get us a new color.
How many pages per minute is that one supposed to be, do you know?
It'll
Yeah,
copy.
we do over in the,
Yeah, I don't know, 20 pages a minute.
oh yeah, but
20,
Cheryl's
30
is
pages.
a heavy duty and we able print.
The new one that
It's a
you're...
fairly good copier, I'm not saying it, I
No.
guess part of it is if we
No,
can
I don't
trade
think
it
so.
in to get a decent trade-in
Please
on
send
it,
it.
that's
Right.
kind of what I was hoping.
And you might be able to, I don't know.
Too bad.
I think Smith still services this area.
Yes.
But they don't,
They don't support
do
Cannon?
this one.
Hmm. I mean, that's another thing you want to find.
Somebody local to do that, yeah.
Mhm.
And if you could still give us 5,000 and we can work at getting, a good trade-in on it, I think that's.
I mean, Jan, the one that I have used out at my place for 4 years, it's a $999 standalone, and I just did a copy count. I had 41,000 copies
I
on
print
it.
out, period, and have it put in the CIP.
I mean, that's,
Which,
it's not bad.
and that's a shot in the dark. When I was in the hospital, we had the best copier printers you could get, and they would forever be in service, so.
Yeah, this is a cheap and easy, and it's, knock on wood, it hasn't failed me after 4 years, but
well,
Well,
how
I mean,
about if we cut it to 5,000? Is that okay with you?
I was gonna suggest putting it in the CIP, for next year. But, I don't know that it's an emergency. You like CIP program?
Well, it appears to me that these are CIP issues. It just
It just
doesn't
didn't
appear
get
that
marked.
it's been marked. Because
yeah,
if
the way
you
the
notice,
account numbers are,
most of the CIPs have no account number on them.
Okay,
it could have been an oversight.
We do,
So you-
Yeah.
cutting it to 5?
okay.
All right.
I can deal with that.
Another thing I might suggest, Jan, the school leases their copiers now because they can update them more often, and that might be an alternative also to keep your costs down, because most of those are based on a per copy
It's a
cost.
fleece,
so
not a lease.
that might be
Fleece.
something that you would
Tends to
could
be.
consider.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
As low as interest is anymore, it's not so bad, but. Okay, I'm on the next page, pool.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Just for clarification, your 25,000 in your CIP for your grants funding, that's for those funds is that match money you need for those grants?
Isn't that what
No,
we
we've had some
appropriated that?
discussion about that.
Or that was
I
16,000,
think that was
wasn't it?
to put an annual
I was gonna ask.
amount into into a capital fund to start building up to do that, to pay for, to be a match money for grants or.
That's what I thought.
Or something,
We just
a
did
certain project.
what was the 16 grand we just did? Wasn't that 16?
That was for a grant that we had to have match money for, and there was no money for it, right?
So I say we strike this 25.
No, this is to build that. It's to build that so that you have that money available for that, so that you can apply for those grants.
Yeah, but if you don't know what this is I guess it's like their rainy day fund or something?
No, what it does is it allows them to apply for grants that require matching dollars in order to get it. So you might pay $25,000 and get $100,000.
Yeah, and the problem I would have as a councilman is the fact that we turn this over and we get a grant to build something that we can't afford to maintain. That's why I like to have a little bit more of a more say in where this grant money goes.
Well, and I thought we had a discussion earlier this year about needing council approval or council blessing to apply for a grant.
Yeah, you're right there, but I don't know that's be for the city, but I don't think that stands true for the parks, because the Parks Board controls the parks. We have very little authority over that.
That was, the way that was worded was all departments had to come through the council for grant applications.
If it required matching money.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that that's the
But
case.
the only thing is, it obviously can't stay in the general fund. It has to be put into its own fund, a non-reverting fund, so it can start building up. So I guess that was part of the request, was that not leaving it in the general fund, but moving it into a non-reverting
Non-reverting
fund of
grant.
some sort, so that it can start building up. Otherwise, it goes at the end of the year like
This is not a
anything else.
non-reverting fund there, though.
Right. But that was the idea, that, and I don't have any source of funding to build that fund up.
Well, if we know that we have to give the final say on this funding, I'm okay leaving it there, but if we don't, I don't want to leave it there.
Well, I think what we ought to do is leave it there, and then we can re-examine that ordinance or make sure, or resolution to make sure that it is worded that way.
And we did have discussion about that.
And I don't know that we ever did anything with it.
Yeah, I don't know. We did determine that it's supposed
Yeah,
to
we
come
did.
through
I
us,
think,
but
I
don't
think
know
we
if
had
that
a
was-
resolution.
What page are you on?
Huh?
Is
We
it-
are on
49.
16 right now.
49 and 15. Do I hear somewhere in between?
16.
16. 16. I'll go, okay, 16.
Have you had a long day, Ted?
He has a long
I've been
way.
looking at every page except 16 to try to figure out where we're at.
It's the big blue area.
Okay, 25,000 right there at the top, projects and grant funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, and in that blue area, the truck replacement
What do we
from
do?
golf
We knock it
operating, I
out?
don't know what that means.
Ted, do you know on that grant? Well,
Blue is added from the capital improvement plan.
but we were discussing whether we would have authority over whether they issue a grant or not, if we give them this money.
We have to approve.
There's such a separation there.
We have to approve grant applications for any matching fund grant.
I think,
If the request comes before city council for the match.
but if it's in their budget,
You're approving it right now if you approve this. It's the way I understand it.
and then the Parks Board has control over whether they approve it. That's what I'm thinking, but I could be wrong. Not very often, but
I know,
Yeah,
that's a problem too.
and Joe, part of what that brought that discussion out was a grant was applied for. We were awarded the grant, and then the chief of police came and really asked the council to formalize what had been discussed in a committee meeting. There had never been a formal vote taken, and that's when the red flags went up and said, wait a minute, we want to know about this prior to and vote on it prior to. Yeah, so if you approve this, you are approving.
That's what I think.
You know,
It's
you're,
up to the Parks Board then.
That's not.
the money's appropriated if you do this.
So I want to strike it.
The money's there, but I still think that our resolution says that to apply for.
We didn't have a
You-
resolution on that.
Yeah, I believe we did, Bob.
I think we did too.
We had a resolution, I can't tell you what it states, but you can go back and change the resolution if you want to do that, to say all grants
Yeah.
must be approved by council. I mean,
But this is matching money from the general fund.
No,
And-
it's in the parks? Well, yeah, okay.
But it's still, they still have to apply to the council for that application.
Well, I still
The
say
application has to be approved.
I still say we leave it and then go back and revisit that.
I agree.
Why don't we get an opinion on this while we're, yeah, find out how that works. Who has authority over this money? That's all.
Who does? We do, don't we?
That's the question. I think that once you turn it over to the Parks Board has that authority, not us.
Not the way that resolution went for, grant application.
Right, but
Okay.
that's for the
They
city
still
though.
have to apply for a grant,
Mhm.
and we still have to be notified.
Okay, well, let's just check out and make sure we know.
Okay.
Then we'll mark that one. Okay, what's next?
Pool.
Madam Chair.
Pool,
Pool, that's the easy one. I'm moving to strike the whole pool budget, $136,271. The Parks Board has voted to close the pool. I would be in favor of, I don't want them to spend any more money until that,
What's the plan?
and
After you close the
as their
pool.
resolution said, I believe, that they wanted, I know your president, what's her name?
Beth.
Beth. She wanted, if it was closed, she wants it demolished at the same time. She was not for closing it unless it was demolished at the same time. So that's where I think we're at, and I think we just need to know, are we going to open it next year? If we're not, there's no reason for this, we should just cut this $136,000, or move it.
is there some reason we can't put one line item in for the demolition of the pool and put it at $136,271?
We could do something like that.
Because they do need funds in order
Yeah.
to demolish that facility.
I agree.
Okay, what's
We
the,
would have to fund that.
what is the plan
Yeah.
for a pool down the road? Anything, any kind of water, something?
Well, the plan is to start working towards some spray pads, splash pads, spray ground features at 3 or 4 different locales throughout the city.
I know this guy, he's a swimmer, his name's Rich Dexter.
I know Rich.
He come to me and he said, Charlie, I was at the pool, I had 4 people from Lafayette, they come to Logansport so they can swim laps. Because they said Lafayette, they have nothing like that. So, I mean, it's really, I hate for us not to have a pool.
I don't disagree, and I don't think anybody does disagree, Charlie, but we've reached the point where
I know.
it's we can't afford to keep it. It's run its course of life. It's like getting rid of a car with 380,000 miles on it. At some point you got to say it's done, and it's
I
done.
don't like the decision that we have to make.
I don't either.
But I just say it's time to quit kicking the can. We need to make the decision. That's all I've been pushing for. Let's decide what we're doing. Let's do it, and then let's figure out what we're doing going forward. And if we can help do that right now, I'd be glad to do that.
If the Parks Board has made that decision, and they are probably better prepared to make that than any of us, because they're that much closer to the situation than we are, then I say, I don't want to do it either, because, even in my short lifetime, because I think I'm the youngest one up here, it's not Charlie, I think of the... Do you take exception? I mean, I think of the things that have come and gone in my lifetime in Logansport, and I hate to say it, but there's more that's gone than come. And this is one more thing to put on that list, but it's outlived its life expectancy by about 25 years.
It was made in 55,
Built in 55.
because I was swimming in that in 57.
And that's, that's where we run into it with, it's not the reality, it's the perception. The perception of the community is, it's where I grew up, it's where my kids grew up. I want to have it so that their kids can grow up. And it just can't. We can't. We've put so much money into it to get as much life as we can. Now we have to come up with a plan B.
Well, the option is if you don't close it, then you're going to have to come up with some money to make some serious repairs. Because otherwise, we're putting people's safety at risk.
And we did that. I don't remember how long ago it was when we redid but we put a substantial amount of money into it and got, another 8 years out of it maybe?
Yeah. With
Put a liner in it.
the covers and stuff.
But isn't there a leak in that pool?
Oh, no. There's no leak in that pool.
Well, I keep waiting to hear a big crashing sound and,
Beth-
hear that the east end is now...
A sinkhole?
Yes.
Beth
Which
kept
is
a
your
real
ward,
close
isn't it?
track
Yes.
of how much they lost this year, and it was about 40,000 gallons a week, I think,
A week? It used to be 30,000 gallons a day.
a day.
That was
I
a
Can't
legend.
imagine where that
Well,
much water...
Dick did some work on that maybe 8 or 10 years ago and was
It's
supposed
when-
to fix it.
Jan, how long do you estimate we'll be without some sort of pool?
Well, I guess I hope that we can come up with a way to do something new in the next 3 or 4 years. I don't know. That's something you
Well, I'm
guys
just
have
asking
to...
Chuck,
your
Here's the,
expertise.
can I weigh in?
Yeah.
Here's what part of the dilemma for me is. The council, the Parks Board, God love them, they're putting their time and effort into this. They say, we're going to close the pool and demolish. If we don't demolish, we don't want to close. You could close the pool and not demolish. How do we know we're not going to put a smaller pool back in that very same location? So what sense does it make to pay $100,000 or $150,000, which I think is just an outrageous amount of money to demolish that? We're tearing down 3-story buildings downtown for $38,000. That's a hell of a lot more dangerous than.
Can't take that.
That's what I'm saying.
Can't take that.
And so these numbers to demolish make absolutely no sense, but does it make sense to fill in a hole that we may turn around 2 years later and dig out? It makes no sense to me. And then there was also the girl who sent all of us an email a couple weeks ago about, why don't you consider making that a skating rink for a year or two, or until you figure it out.
The winter.
But the way that the Parks Board's resolution, as I understand it, reads, we're going to close and demolish. That doesn't leave us many more options for that site. Are we going to fill it in? We're going to put a spray pad in? Where at? Are we going to eventually put another pool in? Where's that going to be at? I've heard a lot of people say, you better not be putting it up there at Houston Park, because that's 14 miles from my house and I don't want to go all the way to the north
and
side.
I have had the suggestion, which I think may make sense. Somebody says maybe the pool will be more successful. It was in more of a central location. And I think, where's that? Well, that's probably Riverside Park. So maybe, I agree with Ted about you don't want to fill the hole in if you're just going to come dig it out again. But if we're not going to do it there, I think it needs to be demolished, and then maybe we can save some money for a couple years, and then maybe it makes more sense to put it at Riverside or a more central location. I don't know, but that's some of the suggestions I've had.
I think
You
you
guys
guys have the
come up.
motivation. Yeah, please come on up. You have momentum in your favor to finally address this,
Yeah.
but I think those questions remain, that they linger, that leaves people feeling a little uncomfortable about where are we going to be next.
The thinking of the park board about demolishing the structure, or at least the pool, was just the fear of it becoming an eyesore with an abandoned hole in the ground, basically, and possibly a liability.
Yeah.
I do understand it is an empty hole in the ground for 10 months out of the year, so maybe that can be dealt with.
Yeah, that's true. It does have a fence, but as far as safety goes.
That was one of the reasons that we wanted to demolish it, just we didn't want an eyesore on Logansport. From my own point of view, I'm like, well, you've had, the pool was built in 55, we started having leak problems in 56.
That's what you're.
And it's been
there's
that way
documentation
for
that.
decades now. We have no idea what problems we're gonna find underneath the pool once we take the pool out. So I don't think it's a matter of just closing the pool. I think that we have to get rid of the pool to take care of any problems underneath, because, you know, erosion underneath that pool, who knows?
Who
Well,
knows?
we don't know what's underneath that.
Might
We
go
might,
to
we
Atlanta.
might get
No.
to China underneath that pool.
Yeah.
Hey, save you trips twice.
So what's your guys' advice? What do you guys think?
Hey,
Um,
I paid for it myself.
I believe the desire of the park board is to pursue another pool or aquatic facility of some sort, whether we have to look at private funding or, you know, private
mixture.
development or a mixture. We have to keep that vision alive and work toward that.
Some fundraisers or something like that, you know?
there's gotta be a whole myriad of
All-
sources
all
we can-
things
we
put
can talk
together.
to. I know that there are, I was, somebody, I'm not sure where they get their statistics from, but, statistically, Logansport has, more millionaires in our town than any other town in Indiana per capita.
You're kidding.
68.2% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
You just made that up.
I did.
But I do know there
Where do
are
they live?
quite a few people in this town that
Not
are
on my
millionaires.
block.
Not on my block,
Yeah.
I'll get damn well guaranteed.
No, that's not my fault.
Not my block either.
But in either case, there are
Yeah.
people that live in this town, there are people that have connections with this town that might be able to help. There are grants that we can apply for down the road
Right.
that we haven't looked at all the possibilities of what we could make. And we don't
I'm
even have to make
Republican.
the aquatic center, if we are going to do an aquatic center, all at one time. We can do it in steps.
So, and then we'd have to think, where would we put an aquatic center? So
Well,
we're not
that's the
even
other
that far.
thing,
Yeah.
that, you know, if we are gonna do,
How big it would be, where would it fit?
yeah, what kind of features are we gonna have in it? What do we wanna have it look like? We have to take into consideration parking.
I
So,
was gonna say, obviously, if you put much of any kind of aquatic center in that Tower Park area, even if you took out the baseball field that's there, is not large enough to accommodate that.
That's gonna work
And
well.
parking is limited to just around that area
Right.
on top
And then
of
you've got all
that.
the traffic in a residential neighborhood.
Right,
Is
and
that
so
would
that's
be
really
optimal?
not a feasible facility,
Right.
feasible area for anything that you do.
Well, and that's where we, you know, that's one of the issues with the parks. We look at the, you know, at Tower and Bob talking about the parking and the car traffic at Riverside. And you got to remember, when these parks were established in 18, they're walking parks. They're
Right.
parks people
Bicycles.
they walked to, or they, you know, they
Right.
weren't, we didn't have the
that's why
auto
you have to
traffic
have
that
the
we have
central
now.
parks close to you. So I think that, you know, at least we went as far as to quit kicking the can. You guys have made some very tough decisions. Nobody's wanted to make it for years. You guys did it, so I applaud you for it. So, I think that, well,
No, I shouldn't have interrupted you. You go ahead.
so, if we were to close it, you want to take it down, fill the hole in. And I'm not sure, I know it looks bad by leaving it up, but I don't really think it's a safety hazard because it does have, it's locked, it's got a, you know, it's full of water.
Well, like he said,
a lot
it's
of
10
time.
months out of the year,
Yeah.
it's
So
an
I'm
empty
not
hole.
worried so much
you know.
about that, but I do think it needs to get taken, and the sooner we start this, and I wanted to point out that in this budget, the mayor did, he has 59,000 here, that extra 59 on top of that. That's because what it would take to keep this open another year, so that ups it to 136, not 75,000 anymore. So I'm thinking if, the sooner we close this, the sooner we can do something about it. We can save some money.
Exactly, that's why I would propose that we take this amount, the $271,000. She may not need all of that to demolish that.
What-
You don't know what it's gonna take to fill in that big hole, but
Dirt.
So why don't we?
all along with their plan, they've requested, they have closed the facility, they want it demolished so that they can move forward. And so, here's the budget, let's take it and let them demolish it with it.
How about if we take this and strike this and move it, and let the Board of Works demolish it, because I think, I think he's pretty good at that, tearing stuff down, so.
Yeah, boy,
What do you think?
well, I would be happy with that. As a matter of fact, if we make this coincide with some of our other demolition projects we could probably use the bricks or the concrete from some of these other places to fill in the hole. We have a free place to dump.
What if we just maybe take 100,000, add to your demolition fund? In your board, I think your board of works had demolition, one of them had it.
Board works.
And just, no, I don't know what about the other extra 36, but move that to your demolition fund, and then if it needs to be, if they decide they want it gone, you will take care of that. But if you
I
need
think
more
they've
money,
already decided that, Bob. They've
Yeah.
already said, we've closed the facility.
Now we gotta
Now we want
demolish it.
let's do it then. What do
They've
you think?
already made that
Best way to
decision.
get her down.
Well, I say we put the whole 136,271 in there, and if,
But there's no sense doing that if it's not needed.
Okay, then let's put
But there's a
100,000
heck-
in and cut $36,271.
Well, and what if they do it for 50?
then we got a whole hell of a lot of other things that can be demolished out of the Board of Works.
But, no, it can't be if it's in the parks.
I think
That's
you
what we
should
just
go
said, move it
Board
to
of
the,
Works.
Yeah.
move it to the Board of Works.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
You're right, Bob.
No, you're.
You're exactly right.
That's what I was saying. I said 100 grand to that. So, all right, we're on the same page.
So is it 100 or 136?
100,000 to Board of Works for demolition of the pool and $36,271 cut. So this budget now is zero.
What happens to this one?
This budget is zero. The pool budget is
Do you
zero.
think any of the kids
There
will
is
be
no budget at
swimming
this
in the
time.
river? I mean.
Well, they do anyway.
They already are.
They do anyway.
I hope not.
Just walk down
Well, they
there,
do.
Charlie.
You think they
They're
will?
always down.
Demolition.
You want to go with me right now? I bet I have 5 students who are still swimming in the river
Yeah,
at this
they're
very
down
moment.
there. They're down there all the time.
It got
That's
cut.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I walk by
I
there
guess the one
easily.
thing
was reduced.
I'd like to
I
point
never
or
swam
say
in
at this point is, one of the things we had
Beach is a
hoped
bit
to
for you.
do was, or try to get some lessons organized with the maybe use the high school pool or the Y pool. I do know that people, and I love the Y, but I don't know why, I regularly hear that people like our swim lessons far better than what they like what the Y offers. And so, I don't know what I can do. I haven't talked to the new athletic director about this, but I was just kind of hoping that somehow we could do at least swim lessons through the high school possibly. And so there is some kind of,
And also France Park, we had discussed a little bit behind the scenes there about maybe come up with some kind of a shuttle service to get the kids out there.
the only reason I'm not in favor of that is because then I'm responsible for all those kids, and I
How?
don't have that kind of.
How are you responsible for those kids?
Because I'd be transporting them. It
No,
would be a
what if
parks
Cass
program.
County Transit did it?
It's a parks program, and
Well,
I'm
it costs a
transporting
quarter.
them, and then when they get there
Cass
to
County
France
Transit,
Park, and who's watching them, and.
Yeah, well, there has to be a distinct difference between where your responsibility starts and stops. France Park has
I don't know,
lifeguards
a lawsuit
for,
and-
Yeah.
well,
Different.
Lawsuit will
right.
name 'em all, Ted.
I get like 38 of them a week, but that's okay. France Park has their own lifeguards. It's always puzzled me why we didn't come up with some kind of,
That would be
even if we
voluntary.
bought a school bus and transported people, if we ran every hour on the hour out there or back, it buys a lot of time.
Well, kids are smarter if they want to go, take the transit. It's cheaper than paying your way to get in the pool.
Exactly.
That's what I say, it's a
You know,
quarter, isn't it?
Oh,
No.
All of those things
Two
are
bucks.
all those things are possibilities.
It's
And
$6 a head to get into France Park now, isn't it?
Those are issues that you can look
I
at.
don't know.
Yeah,
You
anyway,
know,
yeah, we
at this
that aren't
point,
necessarily budget issues.
At this
Right.
point, it's 20 till 9.
Yeah, we're done with that.
What about, are they gonna check and see what's leaked all these years? Are they gonna
They'll find that out.
find that out?
If they demo it.
We may not like what they find.
Could be
Oh,
it could be
maybe not.
aliens
Huh?
drinking it, Charlie.
Huh?
Could be aliens drinking it.
Is that it for the parks?
You know, my guess would be that
We
water
have,
has found its way to the water table,
Yeah, I agree.
and I don't have visions of a great chasm underneath the pool. I could be wrong.
Me too. I might come in at 6 tomorrow instead of 5:30.
Yes, it is. Can't stop it. You can only hope to contain it. Isn't that right, Mr. Smith?
we have parks non-reverting.
Non-diverting, yeah.
Where's that at,
We
Teresa?
still have parks
Page
non-reverting.
23.
Sorry. Sorry, Jan. I'm
That's
so
all right.
anxious to get out of here.
I am too.
I know, I'm ready to go too. I've been at it.
I guess the one question you probably,
13. He didn't have to come.
if you get to page 23,
I'm on
you'll see that I've asked for $10,000 on a musical performance contractual service. I'm trying to organize a sponsored concert, an outdoor kind of big concert on the stage, open air pavilion, or open air amphitheater kind of thing. And I don't have anything organized yet, but I got some people out there working on some ideas, and I guess this would be money that would come back in. That's why it's in non-reverting. So if we didn't get it together, we wouldn't spend it. But if we did get that activity together, that's what that's for.
It's similar to like the symphony.
Yeah.
And what they do at
Say
Kokomo now, and it's fantastic.
I know, it's
I mean, and you get
wonderful.
thousands of people down there.
I don't think you're gonna get One Republic or Tom Petty or Sawyer Brown.
You don't think they'd come out for that?
You might get Sawyer Brown.
That's true.
This,
That's really not who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Rascal Flatts.
Jeremy, they're all up at the Four Winds Casino performing.
This is, question I have on this is kind of like what Dean's budget was. Sometimes I have a hard time figuring this out. Non-reverting fund, let's just take this one, she has the musical thing for $10,000. We're putting $10,000 in there, but you're going to, the people are going to pay to go, and we're going to get that $10,000 back?
Yeah.
So does the general fund get that money back?
No, it comes back, if I pay it out of this fund, this is where it would
It
go
goes back to there, so we are just giving up the
Just
$10,000.
putting an allocation there is all you're doing. You're appropriating money.
Seed money, kind of like, huh?
Well, it's just an appropriation so that they can spend it. Is all it is an
I'm still in the
appropriation so they
council
can
meeting.
spend it. If they don't have a line,
Yeah.
an appropriation
Okay, I'll
line,
call you
then
when
they
I
can't
get out.
spend it.
But we are initially funding it with $10,000 out of the general fund, right?
out of
And
the non-reverting operating fund,
Well,
yes.
we're doing the other services, a line item, yeah.
And I remember going to, what was it, what did they call that over?
Pop Fest,
I remember going, that was awesome.
Pop Fest,
Yeah,
It
Pop
was
Fest was
standing room
fantastic.
only.
yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, again, what Kokomo has going on over there is amazing. And I've been over there several times this summer for, the music, and they have, booths and food. It's like, an entertainment thing. And then I go to eat over there. Fantastic economic development to promote your local businesses.
But now I'm seeing, it's just not just this 10,000. It's 10,000, you look at all the 100 percenters, 10,000, 2,000 for program instructor, 2,000 for music series.
Those are
And
new
that's
things.
the music series is already going, and we've been doing that through the donation funds, but.
But you're asking for us to fund that.
No,
Oh,
Bob.
but I'm getting I've got sponsors paying for it. I've already got sponsors paying for it now.
You have to have a budget appropriation for that. The money comes in to pay for that.
Yeah.
So the money goes out, but it comes right back in. It goes right back in that fund.
But such as the 10 grand, we have to initially fund that. That's what I'm saying.
It's seed money, so to speak.
Yeah.
it's seed money.
And so is the 2,000 and the 2,000.
But she's not gonna spend it if she doesn't get it back in.
But we have to put it in there to start with.
But she's not gonna spend it.
I
if she
understand
doesn't
that.
Get it back.
Okay, I understood that part. But what I am saying is we're having to come up with not just 10, but it's 12, 14, 15, 16, about 16,000 total for these programs.
Well, you just cut the pool
Yeah.
budget 36,000, so you're still 20,000 ahead.
All right, why don't we go for the first year, go 5,000 on the music performances?
Because the kind of show I'm looking at, it's gonna be 10,000.
I'm good with 10. I love the
I
idea.
don't have a problem with that.
I love the
What are
idea.
you looking at, Jen?
What's it called? The mummies.
Oh, here come the mummies.
Here come the mummies.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if we can afford them, but
Yeah.
but
They'd
they're
be
really-
huge.
They're really
They were in
good.
Frankfurt or maybe in
Mhm.
Kokomo.
Yeah, they were in Kokomo.
The who?
Yep.
Here come the mummies.
They'd be huge.
Never heard of them. Who are
They
they?
wear
Have you heard of the
mummy
Beatles,
costumes,
Charlie?
but
How do you
they
guys
play a
feel
lot
about
of-
She tried to get the Beatles, but two of them wouldn't return her call.
How you guys
I'm
feel
gonna go see
about it?
Johnny Mathis. That's what I'm gonna do.
Gary?
I know he's
He's
heard it.
apparently for it, you guys. let's
I'm
keep moving
good
here.
with it. I'm good with it. Anything you can do to bring more people to our parks and get people using our facilities, you know, they come, that'll pull them from the other areas, they'll come into our community. Maybe we.
And I'll tell you
find a
what, I
restaurant
drove by
for a
Front
big
Street
event.
Park last night, 50 people there, minimum, 50.
Yeah. we
Hooping
were
it
out
up,
there
hanging
Friday
out,
night.
I couldn't believe it.
We were out there Friday night. They were flying the radio airplanes. There were kids everywhere out there Friday night.
Oh, at Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I went to
We-
Dunwoody
we
Park the
did
other
sign
night,
a
there was no
contract to
one
do
there.
football.
No
Football's
one.
taking place there now.
Okay, what do you guys think about this?
It's time to go home.
I'm trying to move it.
Yeah.
That's just, you won't leave it, or
I say leave it.
I
Leave
say
it.
leave it.
what do you say?
It's up to you three. I'm a no. I'd just say cut it, but,
I'd leave it, see what it does.
okay, it's there.
There you go. I gotta go let my dog out.
Let your dog out. Who let the dogs out?
Well,
I forgot I don't have a kid. I'm texting my kid. He's at college.
Gentlemen, don't forget, tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, we have a committee meeting for discussion of transfer of funds. And also Carol Sue has an additional appropriation request caused from staffing changes in her department. And also, we'll continue discussion on the Board of Works budget and any other items that need discussed
Police
regarding
department,
budget.
police department.
Are we gonna eat again tomorrow night?
No.